Hi, I'm Roxanne Darling. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm a writer, I'm an artist, I'm a student of consciousness, and a lover of nature.
This is for my birthday episode. I am turning 40 in late September, and I thought I would feel weird or, like growing up, people would say, like, over the hill. And, it was like such this thing. And I thought I would feel some type of way about it. And I
Mhm.
don't. I wound up being like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I just keep getting better with age, and it's actually not a big deal. But anyway, you are a person that makes me really excited about getting older and the possibilities. So I wanted to have you on this episode. And I'm also thinking about whether or not to have kids. So I thought we could talk about a few things like that.
Sure.
Um, so I guess let's start with the child-free thing. Was that like an active decision for you? And are you happy with how it turned out? And do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, it was an active decision that changed over the course of my childbearing years. When I was younger, I definitely did not want to have children. And I think that was a direct response to my own traumatic childhood. And
Mm.
I was a child of the 60s and the Vietnam War and Nixon and pollution and all of that. And I just thought, this is not a place to bring a child into. And, the world doesn't need my child. Skip over a bunch of time. And I got married, and my husband really wanted to have children. And so we tried very hard and had a lot of fun. But I did not get pregnant. And we ended up divorcing. He went on and had a child. So I guess it was my issue. You might say I used Silva mind control for birth control in college. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that, but I had a
What
lot
is
of
that?
I had a lot of problems with birth control. The pill made me crazy. The
Hmm.
diaphragm, I bled constantly, or the IUD, and then the diaphragm just hurt. I guess I'm small down there or something. And I just gave up. And it, again, to repeat, it was the 70s. We were having a lot of sex. It was pre AIDS. And so I learned in Berkeley about Jose Silva mind control. And I basically put a psychic lock on my womb. And perhaps that is the explanation, or perhaps I'm just infertile.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, so you had consciously decided for sure at this point, like that's not something that you wanted aside from this relationship where you were trying. And
Yeah. So the
then
college years was before the marriage. And, in retrospect is what I'm saying. Maybe I really locked that baby up. Uh,
uh-huh.
I do have a strong mind. It's part of my survival skill. But anyway, I couldn't unlock it, or I am just basically infertile, but I didn't have a kid. And I'm really happy now. I love being an auntie.
Uh-huh.
And I really believe parents, I hardly ever use the word need, but I do think parents need a wider circle of friends, adults that they
Hmm.
trust, that they can let care for their children and give them a break and let the children have someone else's point of view, you
Yeah,
know?
so you have friends that like you were just at a niece's graduation and things like that. So you are like an active part of your friends' kids' lives, correct?
Yes, yes. That girl, Kylie, is not actually a blood relative. She's what we call in Hawaii a Hanai daughter. I was at her birth and have traveled with her and done a gazillion things with her. And she's as close to a daughter as I can get.
Yeah, I do think we need to take more of a like community approach to child rearing. That is one of the things that is holding me back. I don't think I don't have a strong maternal instinct, but like when we went to Helsinki for the podcast, it's so feminist over there. They give you a package, they like make it easy for you to have a kid, and the social fabric just feels different. And when I was over there, I was like, oh, maybe in this context, I could have a kid and I would feel okay about it. But if I just did this with just me and even with my partner, I would just feel like I feel like alone in that experience. And I don't think I am necessarily cut out for that.
I don't think enough people recognize how hard it is. And it does take, the village.
Truly.
Very literally, especially in the early years, but even in the later years, when your kid is driving you crazy, you really want to pass them off to someone. And that auntie is the perfect person.
Totally.
Yeah. So
Going
find
through.
find your tribe and then think about having a baby, because a lot of the climate people that I follow, they say have one child. That's still not growing the population, but we need good people in the world that want to help us make it a better place.
Yeah. The climate's another huge reason that I'm like, I don't even know. If I had a kid, is this whole place going to be on fire? I don't I don't know. Are
It's
we just going
certainly
to be,
possible.
yeah, running away from natural disasters together? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
uh
interesting. Yeah. Fortunately, humanity has proven over the many, many thousands of years, there's a subset of us who love solving really hard problems. Thank goodness for them.
yeah.
The rest of
Well,
us are just kind of out living our lives.
I hope those people arise to the occasion soon. So you have decades of relationship experience. And what have you learned as far as like your best relationship advice, and also the other side of that coin, in like knowing when to leave and knowing when to honor yourself as like the most important relationship?
Mhm. Well, the last part is the most important. And that's what I think I have finally learned in the last year, because last December I broke up with my partner of 23 years. And it's kind of blowing my mind how much I filled in the blanks of who he was based on my own desires.
Hmm.
And when my own desires were not being met, I just sort of assumed I gave him all the benefit of the doubt, and it wasn't reciprocal. So it's that saying, when people show you who they are, believe them. We just can't say that enough. If they want to change, they will, but you have to let them know the way you're being, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Has nothing to do with love, has nothing to do with potential, has nothing to do with talent. It has to do with, does that other person have control of their neuroses? We all have them, but if they're running us wild, it's an impossible situation. And I stayed way too long. So, there's another saying, water seeks its own level. And I really don't like it when people complain about their exes as if it was all their fault, because guess
Mm-hmm.
what? I stayed
Mm-hmm.
year after year, evidence after evidence, because I kept hoping and, seeing one little glimmer, and then I would live off that. So I hope I don't do that again.
Yeah. So are you in the season of just, enjoying your singleness and living your best life, and then when and if something happens and you see an equal partner, you're open to that? Or where are you at right now?
I'm only in the last month have I started feeling any kind of awakening that I want to have something. I don't even want to, relationship is just too generic of a word. I don't even know what that means at the moment in terms of what I want. But I like people and I like being in relationship. I'm very self-contained. I have a dog and a nice house. I can live by myself very happily. But I'm very open. And then, it occurs, part of the hard part in the breakup was like, oh my God, I'm 70. I'm done. But of course, I know that's not true,
That's so
because
not
there's
true.
plenty of people that find, love and relationship in their 80s, in their 90s.
But I
um,
understand that feeling, because even I feel like that starts to happen to people sometimes in their 30s. They'll be like, oh my God, I don't want to start over. It's like, however old you are, it always feels like, oh, this is
yeah,
going to be terrible. But
yeah.
it's.
Especially with the child thing hanging over, because that is a biological thing that's real. But again, if you never have children, life is still really good. I mean, there's a ton of freedom. I've been able to do a lot of things I couldn't do if I had had children.
Yes.
So I just believe in making the most of what I have. I don't like sitting on the pity pot. I don't like extended periods of feeling sorry for myself because it just doesn't feel good. And I can always see many people in 5 seconds who have it so much worse. So we'll see what life brings me. I think I'm a nice person. I take care of myself, and we'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
I think you're lovely. And so you've already shared a little, but what are other life lessons you wish you would have learned at 40? You know, you said you're 70 now with 3 extra decades of wisdom. What are some lessons you wish you would have known?
For me, in my background, which was very kind of corporate, I wish I had learned how to enjoy life sooner and bigger. I've always worried about what other people think and about not upsetting the apple cart because I don't like upset apple carts. Like, I don't like that kind of Sturm und Drang. But I took too much of it on my shoulders that it was my responsibility, when in fact, I can just walk away and I can do things I want to do. And if it upsets other people, that's their problem. I'm not here to take care of them in that way. So that's probably my number one. And that's why I really, every year that I've gotten older, I've gotten freer in that area. And I think that's especially true for women. I hope it's true for men. I don't know. But I know it's definitely true for women because we are the designated caregivers and keepers of everyone else's souls, whatever that means. So yes, be more free, be more happy. And, you know, the irony, of course, is people have more fun with you. And the people that are too neurotic, they fall away, you know, they fall away. What else? I am a huge fan of taking care of myself. I don't want to be old and stuck in a chair and I can't do for myself. So I am pretty serious. I'm at the extreme end of that spectrum of, you know, do nothing to do anything I can. So one of my earlier careers was a health coach for Johnson and Johnson. And so I have a lot of tentacles in the health field. So I read a lot, but I just happen to love being in nature. I love walking. I'm a freak. I like exercising. I know most people don't.
I do too.
But I feel better. I feel better. And I've dealt with a lot of depression in my life. And if I don't do it, like in a week, I'm depressed. You know, if something's going on, I mean, I've hardly ever gone a week without doing much, but if I sort of slip into a pattern where I'm doing the bare minimum or whatever, you know, it comes back and nobody wants me in that state because it's definitely not fun. You know, it's a challenge right now that's kind of controversial because we have a big emphasis on body positivity, and it was so needed because we've just been insane, especially about how we criticize women's bodies. And I'm 100% a fan of that. But now it feels like it's almost tipping, like if you take really good care of yourself, you're a narcissist, you're bad, you're just ego, you're this. And I just don't accept that at all. I just accept that, you know, this is my tool. This is how I express myself and get around in the world. And I want to take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like obsessed with, I don't know if you know, Peter Attia and David Sinclair, and I'm all
Yes.
about like their health span advice. And I feel the same way.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah,
go to
they're good because they make me look sort of normal. I'm not drawing blood every week, stuff like that.
Totally. Totally. But I feel you on the mental health thing. Like when I go to my workout class, it feels like meditation to me almost. Like it's as much for my mental health as it is for my physical health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I used to own an exercise and dance and yoga studio. And over and over, I mean, my whole point of starting it was for self-esteem. You know, like I didn't care if you lost weight or not or anything. I just knew you'd feel better after you got your heart rate up for an hour. And that is lost in the fitness community because it's so much about external appearances instead of that internal
Yeah,
experience.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a little bit on the physical, but you look fucking amazing, Roxanne. When you, so we're taking a writing class together. Roxanne is writing a book. I am as well. So when you said how old you were, I was like, my jaw was on the floor. So give us a few beauty tips. I mean, how can you
Okay.
look that fucking amazing when you're
Lotion,
70?
lotion, 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 lotion.
What's this
You
magical lotion you speak of?
know, any kind of lotion. It doesn't have to be expensive, but I never get out of the shower without lotioning my face and my whole body. And that actually started because I grew up in Michigan, and in the winters, my skin would crack and bleed
Mm-hmm.
because I just was delicate. And my mother used to put Vaseline on me. And I'm just now in the habit, even when I lived in Hawaii and it's humid and lush and beautiful there, I still lotioned every time I got out of the water. And I think that's made a huge difference. I'm living in the desert now, and it's a struggle. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, exercise, lotion, positive self-talk. It can't hurt, right? Um,
Right.
I used to criticize myself so much. I got breast implants when I had my aerobic studio because I felt like a child. I was one of those completely flat women who had no boobs whatsoever, and I thought I needed them, to like put myself out in the world. And after 25 years, I had them taken out, and I'm much happier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's just to say we experiment, and it is our own bodies. We get to do what we want with our own bodies. I don't plan on having any other kind of surgery. I had 16 stitches for skin cancer in my nose, and I try to ignore that.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, it's not too bad. I have a little
No,
hole
you
there.
can't even tell.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
invisible.
thank God you don't
I
have skin cancer anymore.
I know. That's really true. But sidebar, if we may, Barbie.
Yes.
I had this idea after watching that movie that, we've given Barbie all the bad rap that she set up these impossible beauty standards for women. Fine, I get that. And I believed that for a long time. And I had Barbies as a child. But it occurred to me that with her big projectile boobs, she basically was out there saying, we're women, we've got boobs, bitches, get over it. And I think that's part of her contribution. I
Yeah,
mean, women still can't go topless. There's still just so much messed up about what women and our bodies. So,
I mean, that movie, man, was not expecting to cry, but I was like
same
definitely
here.
crying a little bit, like during that feminist monologue. And it's like people were criticizing it a little bit. They're like, oh, this is, old school feminism. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, maybe we're not as far along as we like to think we are. Like maybe sometimes we still need to acknowledge that that's still what it feels like to be a woman a lot of the time.
100%. I'm one of those old feminists who didn't get jobs, and didn't think to call a lawyer because it was, like just too long ago.
Do you feel the advancement? Do you see it? Are
Oh,
we
yeah,
advancing?
tons. We are advancing. And I think one of the biggest areas is, because young women are, quote, flaunting, don't like that word because that's not what they're doing. They're just dressing the way they want to dress. They're dressing the way they want to dress.
Mm-hmm.
And, the old trope that you're asking for it. No, I'm not. This is just who I am. I'm a female. I'm not a male.
Mm-hmm.
I don't find myself, by putting on a navy blue suit.
Mm-hmm.
I have boobs. I have a
Mm-hmm.
midriff. It feels good for the air to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
And so much more progress in that area. Much more progress in, jobs and, and men even coming along. But we have a long ways to go.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me on this birthday episode and giving so much lovely advice. Is there anything else you would like to share with the privates about how to live your best life at 70?
Oh gosh, my mantra is just self-acceptance. you know, when it's getting rough and I feel bad or confused or whatever, I just repeat this mantra: I love myself. I love myself. It's
Oh,
amazing how powerful it can be. You can just run it in there, and you know, after about 100 times, you kind of wake up out of the stupor.
yeah, it's way better than I hate myself. I hate myself.
Yeah, it really is. But it takes like consciously remembering to do it. So sticky note on the computer.
Totally. Thank you so much,
Thank you for
Roxanne.
having me, and have a wonderful 40th birthday.
Thank you.